my Wisconsin mug, very Wisconsin. If you're from Wisconsin or know about Wisconsin or have ever been to Wisconsin, you know we got a lot of cows. Not as many as Texas, but we have a lot of cows. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 91 of our Supersize You annual challenge. And this month, it's a brand new month. Happy April Fool's Day. I was going to make April Fool's joke, but it wasn't that funny. So I decided no jokes from me, not for a while anyway. Well, as you know, this year we are covering, and every month we're doing a different area of the life framework. I share a 9-part life framework. And in 2020 and 2021, as part of the pandemic, I was going through a coaching program and I was learning a lot about core and foundational skills that all of us need and have. And if we improve those skills, they actually improve every other area and aspect of our life. Those are things like communication, emotional intelligence, technical skills in our area of expertise, confidence. Why? Because when we get more and better in any of those areas, they exponentially reach out and impact every other area and aspect of our life. And communication is like that. We talked about confidence a couple of months ago because I think that's a foundational one. And I'm wishing now that I had done communication right after it, but I didn't. So we did a couple other things, but here we go with communication. So I want to add a little caveat to that. Communication, we all communicate, some of us better than others, and we're not, well, I guess we are born able to communicate. We can cry, we can make sounds, we can make noises, we can let people know our displeasure or our uncomfortable situation even as babies. So we're all communicators, and we learn what works by how people respond to the way we communicate. So what we put out there is what we get back. It's a good thing to remember. What we put out into the world is what we get back. So if we put out a whole lot of negative communication in any way, shape, or form, guess what's going to come back to us? A whole lot of negative communication. If we put out positive, good, encouraging, make the world a better place communication, that's going to come back to us. So effective communication impacts every single relationship, opportunity, what business, career, life, everything, how we feel about things is all impacted by our ability to communicate or not communicate. Emotional intelligence is another one of those. It's totally impacted by our ability to use effective communication. Now, communication involves a whole lot of things. We're going to dive deeper into many of these things this month, but it's not just the words that we use or the sentences or how well we write or how well we speak or our accent or our dialect or even the language we speak. It's that plus so much more. It's our body language. It's the energy we bring to the communication. It's the intent we bring to the communication, because whether you believe it or not, people know what your intent is as soon as you walk in the room. I did a lot of negotiations in my corporate career and since, and been involved in a lot of different types of negotiations. And you could just feel the tension in the room, especially with contract negotiations in a couple of the businesses I worked for. It was like you would walk in and it was like a big black wall between the two sides. Super interesting. If you're able to step back and observe and notice those things, guess what? Your subconscious and you are actually noticing all those things all the time, not sure whether they're conscious or not. And that's something that we want to work on this month, is making sure that we are aware of not only what we're getting from other people, but what we're putting out into the world and how people are perceiving it and us. So today, I think what we're going to do for an action item, I could talk about this all day long. I could probably talk about this straight for a week, but we got a whole month. So I'm going to chill and we're going to think about excuse me, today, how good a communicator are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being everybody gets at least a 1, right? Because everybody can communicate in some way, shape, or form, whether it's with facial expressions, whether it's with grunts or groans. I know some people that just communicate with grunts, kind of Neanderthal. So this month we will be, and today we're going to do this too. I want you to start thinking about, where are you a really good or great communicator? I guarantee there's places that you are in situations and with different relationships and different people. Where are you a terrific communicator, and what kind of results does that give you in that relationship, for that opportunity, in business, etc.? Just note it, and I'd say write a couple of things down about that. What are your strengths as a communicator? What are your, and I don't like to say weaknesses, I'm going to say improvement areas. What's an area of communication that you know you could be better at? I always know mine is listening. Why? Because my brain's going a million miles an hour and usually my mouth matches. So I have to consciously take a deep breath and really focus on listening and understanding what people want, what they need, where they're coming from, what's important to them. That's really funny, right? Because I've been a coach for a long time and I admit to not being an awesome listener. Things like etiquette, emotional intelligence, interrupting. We're going to talk about all these because they're so important. But first and foremost, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I just came out of the womb and I can scream and cry and have tantrums and use that as a way of communicating what I need to people. Now, we all know some adults, right, that still behave that way, even though they've had a lot of experiences along the way and they could have changed that behavior. They still act that way, especially when they're emotionally triggered or upset. So scale of 1 to 10, share that number in the comments below. Why? Because we just want to be honest with ourselves as in terms of where we are. Now, I will tell you, I ask this a lot in each different area of the life framework because it gives us a base point. It doesn't matter what, or comparing yourself to any other people, what that number is. That number is for you. And we all have different rater bias, right? I tend to judge myself pretty harshly. So, there's some people that give themselves a 10 on everything across the board because that's what their ego tells them to give themselves. But I would contend that very few people on the planet are actually what I would consider a 10 with respect to communication. Now, this is coming from a woman that's done over 9,000 videos in the last few years. So I like to think I'm pretty good at communicating, but if I go back and watch my stuff, I'm like, just like everybody else, very judgy. So scale 1 to 10, I would probably rate myself overall for all the communication skills and stuff, maybe a 6 or a 7. Now, other people would probably rate me higher. Some would rate me lower. Some would, we all get haters. Some would rate me lower. It doesn't matter. It's what I'm rating myself right now because we want to use that as a point to compare ourselves to at the end of this year. By the end of this year, one of our goals should be to be a more effective, better, and you define effective and you define better communicator. Why? Because it impacts every single area of our life, every single area, right? How often, or have you ever found yourself in an argument and it's all heated and you're trying to think back, what even started this? Why are we fighting? What are we fighting about? I sure have. So I also want you to start assessing and just getting a feel for it and paying attention as you go about your day. What are and where are you a really strong communicator? What situations do you find yourself in that you do a really good job listening? Or what situations do you find yourself in that you do a really crappy job listening? Let's start paying attention to it and just noting those. I note stuff like that in my handy dandy annual journal or an annual book. I have an annual book every year for the annual challenge because I want to be able to go back and look at those things and then ask myself, is this a priority to change? And if it is, I'm going to change it now. If it's not, I'm going to let it simmer in the background for a while, knowing full well that now that I'm aware of it, it will be changing soon and I will be intentionally changing that. All right. That's all I'm going to talk about today. We could talk about missed opportunities. We could talk about what is the cost of not being a good communicator. We could talk about all of these things. I would love to hear what you would like to cover and discuss with respect to communication. I know the things that I think are important, and of course I'll cover those, but what is most important to you? Is it understanding negotiations? Is it learning more about body language? Is it like me being a better listener? Whatever it is, share in the comments below so I can make sure we take care of that this month. And go out and have an awesome April Fool's Day. If you're good at April Fool's jokes, pull a couple and then share them in the comments below to motivate me because it's not really ever been my thing. I used to pull them on my kids every once in a while, but it just gets old. It usually made a mess that I would have to clean up after anyway. So what's the point? All right. Have an awesome day. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.